Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another edition of the Embassy Insider. My name is Molly Koshina, and I'm the press attaché here at the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines. In June, three of my colleagues had an Embassy Insider focusing on exchange visas and Education USA. For this episode, we're going to tackle a very important non-immigrant visa category of student visas, and I know that's really important here in the Philippines. Joining me today to answer your questions is the non-immigrant visa officer, Andrea. Andrea, thanks so much for taking time to join us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So our Facebook users have posted questions onto our Facebook page, and so we have a bunch of different questions directly from them. But before, I'd like to learn a little bit about you. How
Sure.
long have you been in the Philippines?
Well, this is my second time here in the Philippines. So I was here 2 years before, and this time I've been back for 1 month already.
Okay, so over jet lag, happy to be back.
Absolutely.
What is your favorite destination in the Philippines?
I've been all over, but I have to say my favorite is Baguio.
Mm.
The cool mountain air, the beautiful strawberries, the Easter School of Weaving, and the Ben Cab Museum.
Now, I haven't been to the Easter School of Weaving, but the others, yes.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back.
Definitely.
Where are you from in the United States?
I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, birthplace of our nation.
And in Philadelphia, where is your favorite place to go?
The Historic District.
Yeah, I would say that's really very special. I'm sure a number of our Facebook viewers have been to Philadelphia and could share their experiences of traveling there. For those of you who are watching us, be sure to place your comments on our Facebook page or on our Twitter account and use the hashtag US Embassy Insider. So we're going to get down to the questions. First question comes from Brian Asher. And Brian asks, how can I get a student visa? It's a good place to start.
It is a great place to start. And so, Brian, what you should do is go to the Education USA website. They have some great tips. First, you should research your options. There's so many different schools, so many different programs. Think about what are your goals and what program best suits you. Figure out how you're going to pay for the program, and then apply to the school, get accepted, and then try and get your student visa. Come and see us.
So it's a lot of legwork. It's a lot of research before the visa portion.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned to do the research on school to find one that fits. Why is that important?
Well, there are so many different schools in the United States. There's colleges, there's universities, there's language schools, there's specialty schools for art and design, there distance learning. So with so many things to choose from, when you need to take charge of your own education in your future and think about what suits your goals, and then also because you have to be able to talk about that during your visa interview.
Very important. So Maria Lourdes asks, what are the requirements to apply for a student visa?
Well, the big requirement to apply for a student visa is being accepted at a school. And so you'll have your Form I-120, which is proof of that acceptance. And also applying, you'll need to have your application online, which you can do through the embassy website, pay the fee, have a passport, and be able to talk about how you're going to pay for this.
Education in the U.S. it's a commitment. It's a financial commitment.
It's a huge financial commitment.
Christopher Nabwa asks, will it be possible to apply for both an immigrant visa and a student visa at the same time? My objective of doing so is to use the student visa application as a backup if my immigrant visa application is denied.
Well, it's always possible to apply for both, but should you and will you be successful? That's another question. So let's tackle the immigrant visa is an application process where you've been petitioned with the goal of immigrating, having permanent residency in the United States. Right. The student visa is a non-immigrant visa, and by definition, that means you're going for a temporary stay.
Got it.
And so it's hard for a consular officer to reconcile those if you have an immigrant visa petition and an interview, or even not the interview, but there's a petition, to be able to convince them that what your plan is for a temporary stay. Not to say it has never happened, but it'll be definitely a challenge for an applicant.
So the student visa, the idea is to go, to complete your studies, and return to the home country.
Return to your home country and hopefully use what you learned there and give back in your country.
Okay, super. So next question comes from Hu Wong Lee. What are the qualifications to study in the United States?
Well, that really just depends on the program you're accepted to, and it just is different from school to school. Some schools may require that you have a certain level of English proficiency. Some provide that as part of the education training. Some If you're going for a program for a master's, you'll have to have your bachelor's. If it's bachelor's, you'll have to have your high school.
Got it. Dennis Juan asks, my niece already has a US visa. She wants to study in California. What is her first step?
So I'm going to assume that the niece has a tourist visa, what's known as a B1, B2 visa. So the first step is to research the school, apply for the school, get the approval, and then apply for your student visa. It's okay to have two different types of non-immigrant visas at the same time.
The next question comes from Precious Gung Cantor Mendoza. Can an overseas Filipino worker apply for a work visa and then study in the US while working?
Generally, no. If you have a work visa, and I'm going to use the example of maybe an H-1B,
Mm-hmm.
that visa is for that specific function, so
Okay.
which is working, purely work. So you cannot study, and the studying, you don't work when you have the student visa, and there's limited exceptions. Can you change your status? Yes. You could be an H-1B visa holder, be working in the United States, and decide you want to go to school. You would need to contact Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and request to change your status and adjust status. And that happens, but until you receive that approval, you need to continue in that status that you entered the U.S. on. So continue working, don't just start going to school.
Got it. And does that happen in the United States or here at the embassy?
That can
The
happen
change
either
of
place.
status. Yep.
Either place. So if you're in the U.S., you can file an adjustment of status or change of status while you're in the U.S. and get that granted. As soon as you leave, though, if you come back to visit your family for holidays, you will need the proper visa.
A new visa.
Yeah.
Okay. The next question we have is from Oliver Santos. We've talked about this actually. It's a good question. What is an I-20 and how do I get one?
Okay. The I-20 really is the proof of acceptance into the program. So once you've been accepted into the program of your choice, the school will send you the Form I-120. You bring this to your visa interview. It shows what type of program, what school, what the fees are, which is really important to help show that how you're going to pay for this, the start date, and you just present that at the interview and you get it from the school.
So it's created by the school and mailed or emailed to the student?
It's usually mailed to the students, but yes, it's given by the schools.
Interesting. Okay. Claire Rivera asks, how early should I apply for my student visa?
So you can apply really early for your student visa. You can apply even more than 120 days in advance of when you need it. The general rule is you can't travel more than 30 days before the start date, and that start date will be listed on the I-20.
Okay.
But if you're a continuing student, so you've already had a visa, you can apply for renewal at any time and then go whenever you're able to go. There's no prerequisite that you wait 30 days.
Okay. So how long is a student visa valid for? Is it for 1 year or multiple entries? What is the validity of a student visa?
So a student visa's validity depends on the countries that you are passport holder from, the reciprocity for that. And generally, it's multiple years and at the very least your program dates.
Okay. So it really does go back to the I-20 for a lot of this, right? It's the type of program, the school, how long you're going to be there. Okay. Patrick Bautista asks, I already received my student visa. When can I travel? We just talked about that. Yeah. So 30.
We did. So it depends. So if he got it really early, before the semester starts of what the date is indicated in I-20, he can't go more than 30 days before, and we will actually annotate that on the visa as a little reminder.
So if it's a September 1st school start date, they could travel
August 1st.
on August 1st or the day after.
Yes. And we have cases of people who really want a vacation with their family in advance. They will have a tourist visa to do that in advance.
Okay. Do they need to leave the U.S. and go back in on their student visa?
No, they don't.
Okay. Oh, interesting. So Mark Gomez asks, oh, this is funny. We would also cover this a little bit. If I'm in the U.S. on a tourist visa, can I change my status to student visa if I get admitted to a U.S. school and have my Form I-20?
Yes, they'll have to just apply for that with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services and, wait till their approval. But they need to, until their approval comes through, make sure they're maintaining the status for which they were admitted and do not commit any crimes or have anything else that would cause a problem with the approval.
Sure. And it's not required that they return to the Philippines. It could be done in the US.
It can be
But
done,
if they travel, it would happen.
but once then they leave, then they'll need to come back in and get a visa and just present the I-20.
Okay, and go through the process again of online application, pay
Yep.
the fee. Okay, super. The next question comes from Christine Carrion. Can I work in the US if I have an F1 visa?
Yes, but there are very limited restrictions for that. So if you have a student visa, the F1 visa, you can work on campus less than 20 hours a week. You can't work off campus until you've completed your first year as a full-time student. And even with that, it needs permission from Department of Homeland Security and should be something along the lines of practical training.
Interesting.
And there's more information on that from the Department of Homeland Security's website.
Great. Janina Ong says, help, my visa has expired. What do I do?
Well, I know that can be a really stressful situation, but you shouldn't worry. If you are in student status and you're in the United States, you'll be fine because generally students are admitted for the duration of their status, even if the visa expires. So as long as you are a student maintaining a full load, in good standing, you'll be fine. When you do leave, just do another online application, come in and see us, and we'll get you a visa and get you back to your school.
So there's no problem exiting the country.
No problem.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Andrea, thank you so very much. That was the end of the questions. That's the end of our Embassy Insider for this afternoon. Thank you all for submitting questions, for watching us, for listening, and for participating. Again, I'm Molly Koshina with the U.S. Embassy Press Office, and we look forward to you joining us next week for the next edition of Embassy Insider. Thanks very much. Bye.